Hi guys, Freddy here, welcome back to the desktop for another rules breakdown. Now since I'm doing a PDF, ZYBORG Commando there, Resurrection Overdrive, I've had to set things up a bit different. But we've got the rules, we've got the dice on the desktop here, and we've got me. So let's see how it goes, and you can let me know in the comments below whether this is an alright format for doing PDF versions of the rules. And I can go back to some other games which I've presented as PDFs before, but haven't been able to do a rules breakdown because I didn't have a physical copy to do the way I was normally doing. Anyway, this week we're doing ZYBORG Commando Resurrection Overdrive, which is an updated, well actually if I flick over to the information here, it says this work is a parody of the ZYBORG Commando RPG published in 1987 by New Infinities Productions Incorporated, but contains no copyrighted material from that work and should not be implied as being an official part of any ZYBORG Commando franchise. So it's a parody, it's kind of an updated version. It's about cyborg commandos fighting the alien menace, but they lost and were defeated and they've been brought back as zombies by some unknown process. Anyway, it's kind of a fun game. I've been sent through this copy of it, so let's go over how the rules break down. And skills. Well, ZYBORG Commando uses the D10X system, the same as the original ZYBORG Commando, where you roll 2d10 on a percentile-based system. So if I get my 2d10 and I roll them, I've rolled 20 there. Well, that comes out as exactly the same. Normally you'd read it as 1 as the tens, 1 as the units, so 2 and 0, 20. Where in ZYBORG Commando you multiply them together, but the 10 comes out, or the 0 comes out as a 10, so it's 2 times 10 is 20. But let's re-roll. That's 0, 8, so that's actually 80, because that counts as 10, we're multiplying it together, it comes out high. But generally they come out much lower. So that's a 16, but under the D10X system it's 1 times 6, so 6. D10X averages lower, which in a percentile based system does mean that it favours success. Now in the skills, what you're doing is adding your attribute and your skill together. So if I go over to the character sheet, if I flick over here, we can see we've got the brain stat up here with various skills underneath it: engineering, extraterrestrial, mechanical, strategy, tactics, tracking, and psychogenics. Under the flesh stat you've got influence, instinct, maneuver, unarmed. Under metal you've got explosives, weapons, hardsuit. But while the skills come under those stats, there's nothing to stop you mixing them up a bit, like the storyteller system, where if you were asking for somebody who wanted to know information about explosives, then you could add the brain stat to the explosive skill instead of just using the metal stat to explosives. So you could cross brains with other things where they're asking for knowledge about that subject rather than actually doing it. You know, your weapon skill would be your metal stat when you're shooting weapons, but if you were trying to work out something about a weapon, how it's constructed or whatever, then that might be brains crossed with it. So you can mix and match like the storyteller system. Now, when you roll, if you fail by 1 point, you can have a cost to your success. So if your D10X result is only 1 point higher than the DC, the GM may allow you to treat it as a success with a cost. If so, they'll narrate a related obstacle, consequence, or some other twist to ensure that you pay a price for your action. For example, the consequence of an attack roll might be that your weapon soon misfires or breaks. So you fire your weapon, you miss by 1 number, but you can actually succeed and hit, but your weapon jams afterwards. The tools that you're fixing something with break or whatever. There's a consequence to it, but that's if you just miss it by 1 point. The system also lets you do opposed rolls where 2 people are rolling against it. Now obviously they have to succeed in their skill roll by rolling lower than their skill, but otherwise it's just whoever rolls lower wins. The system also has advantages and disadvantages, much like the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. So when you're rolling with advantage, you roll twice and you accept the highest roll. And when you're rolling with disadvantage, you roll twice, but you have to take the lowest roll. The system also has where if you roll doubles, you either critically succeed or critically fail. So if you roll a double 2, not only have you rolled a 4, but you've critically succeeded at something, because that's probably going to be underneath your skill. Whereas if you're rolling a double 8, that's going to be a high number, so you might fail, but if you do fail, it's going to be a critical failure and there's going to be problems. Double 9s and double 10s always count as critical failures. You cannot have skills high enough to succeed with those. Now on page 27 we've got the initiative system, which is you are making a flesh plus maneuver roll, and if you succeed you go in phase 1. Then the monsters go, and if you failed you go in phase 3. Now within those phases you're working from lowest roll to highest roll. So the lower number you roll, the more likely you are to go first. But it's possible for somebody with a higher roll but a better flesh plus maneuver to go in phase 1 than somebody who ends up going in phase 3 because they had a lower skill total and they failed their roll. Also within combat actions, if I flick over to the next page, you can take more than one attack per turn, but you roll with disadvantage on any attacks after the first. Now attacks are pretty straightforward. We've got the listing here on page 28. To perform an unarmed combat attack, you're rolling your d10x against a DC of your flesh plus your unarmed combat skill. To use a hand weapon, it's a DC of your metal plus hand weapon skill. Hardsuit weapon or defense is metal plus hardsuit, and to throw explosives it's metal plus explosives. And you're simply just trying to roll under your skill to succeed. Now damage is based around a standard d10x roll. So we take our dice, we roll them here, we've got a 1 and we've got a 4, so we've done 4 points of damage, which isn't a lot. However, that depends on the weapon, because we also have a lethality rating. So if we've rolled under the lethality rating, then it's an instant kill. So a bow and arrow has a lethality at close range of 2. A duct gland gun by the aliens has a lethality rating of 4. A pistol has 5. So if we're firing a pistol and we rolled our 4, while that's a terrible roll damage-wise, it's actually really good for the lethality rating and is an instant kill according to the rules. Now your health in ZYBORG Commando is based around the structural integrity of your suit, and that is worked out as you create your character as your structural integrity is 88 plus your metal. Now as you take various levels of damage, your hardsuit begins to fail as it takes more damage, and you heal back from that by resting. ZYBORG Commandos restore 10 structural integrity per hour when you're moving but not in combat, or your max SI over a short delay, a couple of hours, as long as you remain motionless. ZYBORG Commandos don't sleep. So if a ZYBORG Commando basically powers down and stands still for a couple of hours, he will heal full amount. But otherwise, between combat, you are returning 10 structural integrity per hour. And advancement is handled through experience. On page 39 here we can see that the Games Master awards XP after each session, and each session is worth 10 XP, so you'll reach level 1 fast. Because here we have the progression chart. So level 1's 10 XP, 25 for level 2, 50 for level 3, up to 175 for level 8. There's also other ways of earning experience. You earn 1 XP every time you roll a critical failure, you play one of your shadow or your torment, you spend trust, or you destroy a memory. So you get a few points here and there as your character decays slightly. Now at levels 1 to 5, you add 1 point to any stat or +3 to any skill. You can clear 1 filled hunger fragment, and its linked torment, and clear 1 other torment. And you can destroy 2 memories. So you are decaying. As you become more and more of a zombie, your body's rotting away and you're losing chunks of memory, although you are getting more skilled. At level 6 and 7, you clear one filled hunger fragment and clear one other torment. You add +5 to your initiative DC or increase your max structural integrity by +10, and you destroy 2 memories or destroy 1 hunger fragment. And at level 8, you're the final level, you use any 2-star rewards from levels 1 to 7 above. You can now take 3 actions per turn. Structural integrity no longer regenerates, destroy all memories but 1, and you reveal your shadow to the group. So basically you've advanced, but you're at end game. Your zombie body is starting to fall apart, your memories have gone, and everybody can see what you are. And so that's a brief run over of the ZYBORG Commando rules. Now, I find it a very interesting game. I do like it a lot, where the original ZYBORG Commando didn't have a lot of roleplay aspects to it. It was mainly a game about power management, because your ZYBORG Commander had a limited battery and you could take power from that to repair yourself. So damage didn't really matter as long as you had power, but you also powered everything, including spending a power point every combat round. ZYBORG Commando instead is more about the role-playing. As you lose memories, you can literally, if we go back to the character sheet here, you can lose your knowledge of your name, how you died, what music you used to like, the places you lived, until eventually you are basically just this rotting corpse who barely has any idea of who he was. And your shadow side will turn on the other players and turn on humanity. So it's a lot more role-playing aspects as you lose yourself. And does it matter that you still have your mission? But I think I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual. Please like, subscribe and comment below, as it does me massive favours with the YouTube algorithm. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.